taking a look here, I know I'm in Google Books right now, and Google has some really good stuff in here too. So I wanted to take a look and see what writings, because my thought process, I was thinking, has not probably been the first time that this has happened. Related to job loss, inflation, and applications to Social Security and disability for people who are met with inflation and job loss at the same time. So there's a book in here. It's called Special Study on Economic Change Social. I will leave a link to this book. It's on page 76, actually, where I'm looking at it. Page 76. And so I'm going to read a little bit here. The financial impact of unemployment on unemployment insurance is, in most cases, coterminous with its duration. But despite extensions of the duration of eligibility, unemployment insurance is ultimately self-limiting due to the extenual exhaustion of the entitlement. So it doesn't last a long time. 6 months maybe tops is what it lasts. It doesn't last very long. This self-eliminating feature may be a principal caused by any spillover effects on other Social Security programs, notably old age, retirement, pensions, but also disability and health insurance programs. Initially, of course, all these programs, insofar as they contributory suffer a loss in contribution income, but in addition, they experience increases in their claim load from the effects of protracted unemployment and its ramifications. Now, I will say, usually supervisors, a lot of times, they will get a pay package. So if they're a supervisor high up, they'll get they get something that's equal to terminal leave in the United States military. And so what they call it, they say they will offer them a package actually to quit. They call it early retirement. Early retirement, it could work only and only if we don't have inflation. However, when a supervisor, a boss, is met with inflation, then that means they're going to have to go back to work. So they can actually take off of work, but they're going to have to go back to work. So severe unemployment results in pronounced rises in applications for Social Security, disability, and pension benefits. In addition, persons at or past normal retirement age whose pension has been suspended or reduced on account of income from current work revert to full beneficiary status once they lose paid employment. On both counts, there is not net swelling of pension rolls. Inflation. Inflation affects program revenues and benefit cost of Social Security in different ways. So when things cost more in society, this means that there's a cost of living expectation with Social Security, which means without a cap on inflation, without a cap on the private sector, then the costs for fixed income, Social Security, military veterans, old people, young people, everyone caught up in the social services then is affected by the inflation, which means it's more costly for everybody all around. So in different ways, increased outgo is not matched by increased intake. So the costs are more, but the intake of funds is not as much. In short-term risk programs, the effect is minimized due to the fairly simultaneous increases in programs, revenues, and benefit outlays. Long-term programs, such as old age retirement insurance and disability pensions, are more vulnerable to inflation. This means this is going to describe Obamacare right here. Hello. And so all the more so if such programs pay benefits from accumulated reserves. And so to the long-term programs such as old age retirement insurance and disability pensions are more vulnerable to inflation. All the more so if such programs pay benefits from accumulated reserves. The effects of inflation are minimized the more closely the pay-as-you-go principle is adhered to. So when you have the pay-as-you-go principle, and they're subject to just charging you more. The monthly thing and the annual thing, they've got you. The maintenance, on the other hand, a mere contingency reserve periods of inflation or stagflation, since its size is an independent variable and therefore discretionary. The impact of inflation upon Social Security, and especially pension financing, is critically important in programs that guarantee the real value of benefits. Adjusting benefit levels to change is consumer prices or cost of living. This adjustment is necessary to safeguard the program's social adequacy, and adjustment mechanisms have become a part of the advanced system. All as a vehicle for social betterment, Social Security can ill afford any erosion in the real value of economic protection it provides. Under normal circumstances, the lower limit would keep the purchasing power of benefits constant, except possibly where the economically active population suffers a lowering of real incomes. Hello, where I'm from the planet Earth. So like if you guys have intentions of I'm talking about important issues here. You guys don't seem to be interested in hearing about important issues of inflation and things that affect all of us. That's what I'm talking about right now is inflation. And this was something that I've noticed. I've also noticed discrimination in Social Security and benefits when applying for it. So what this means is that you have a man who has a job, and primarily men have had the jobs, and women. I mean, when they say something like a woman makes 80 cents to the dollar to that of a man, that means she makes less money. Not only that, that also means that women who are housewives make absolutely nothing. So they don't stand a snowball's chance in hell for anything to ever become anything in life, and so that's why you hear about these women nowadays. I saw a video, and I think it was maybe done in humor, I'm not sure, but this woman just decided to leave her kids. She ended up in court, but she just decided to leave all her kids with her husband, abandon her kids with her husband, and just get up and leave because she was supposed to have a career. So this guy says, Ali Yavari says, hello, I'm from Turkey. What a great coincidence. I'll be coming to your country in a few days. Okay, well, that's great. Just don't get arrested for, you might want to avoid immigration or you're going to end up getting arrested probably. And people in the United States, just know, are really upset about things. So you might want to be low key. You're going to want to try to speak English. If you don't know English, don't talk at all because nobody wants to hear you. How can I talk to you? I leave my number, please. No, I'm not giving you my phone number. I'm just not doing that. I'm not interested in talking to you. I'm talking to you right now on the phone. I mean, I'm using a phone and you're probably using a phone. So we are talking on the phone right now. I don't need a phone number for that. You don't need a phone number for that. This is good enough because I have no intentions of talking to you any other way. I'm not interested. I'm just not. Um, so I mean, to me, it seems like you are up to, if you can't talk to me about something in public, on this public forum, then you have something more nefarious and felonious that you have in your mind taking place. There's a multitude of things. I'm not going into them, but that's what goes through my brain. Is so the only reason that you want to corner me off into an email message is for something that is illegal. That's just where my brain goes, and I'm not going there. I'm just not doing it. I'm not interested. I'm not interested in people from foreign countries because I see the crimes that are taking place. I'm not interested in a man from another country. I'm interested in a man in the United States, but not from another country. So, Xander Kutcher, I can't actually message you all, Yavari. I don't have the means to actually leave a message in my own comment section here anyway. And, we probably can't do that because there'd be too many idiots on YouTube. Oh, yeah, well, I suppose I could leave a phone number if I started a poll or did a Q&A, but I'm not going to do that. I don't want to do that. You guys can be talking to kids, and I'd rather see you guys get arrested for talking to kids or something like that, instead of people who are just exercising their First Amendment. I'd rather see you guys get arrested than people who are just exercising their First Amendment and not actually causing a problem. So you guys can do all of that together. Okay, so what else was I looking at? Oh, the veterans thing. Okay, so I did find a couple of books here related to the military veterans under Google Books that I wanted to, a profile of, well, this, I'm not sure if this one is related to military veterans. Let me find the one about the military veterans. The welfare state and mass justice, a warning from Social Security Disability Program. Okay, that's not the one I was looking for. Harvard Law. No, that's not the one. Oh, here, this might be it. Post-traumatic stress disorder. Yes, 7th Congress. This is on page 85. The book is Post-Traumatic Stress Disorder. Congress should enact S. 1354, which directs VA to define the war zones, collect data, and prepare cost and benefit use reports about Iraq and Afghanistan wars. This proposal mandates truth in government so Congress and the public are fully and regularly informed about the human and financial cost of the two wars. This proposal will also tremendously improve VA planning and budgeting without consistent and timely reports for the expanding Iraq and Afghanistan war population. VA may once again fall $3 billion short and be unable to provide medical care to veterans. How hard is that? So now what the VA is doing, it sounds like, is they're sending the veterans to the civilian side, which is more expensive. What else do they have? So the veterans are not getting the help that they need because of inflation and the inflated costs. Obamacare has made things more expensive. And so how could any of us have predicted that at the time people voted for it, thinking that we were actually going to get something decent, which we didn't. Okay, wait a second. What did I do here? Okay, so due to the current poor political leadership, VA's doctors and claims staff are unable to provide either immediate treatment or prompt payments because of inappropriate private interference by VA political appointees. Oh, that's the problem. Hello, Barrios boys. In effect, VA political appointees locked VA's doors and blocked access to health care and disability benefits. If not for the intervention of Congress in May to appropriate $1.8 billion in emergency funds to hire more doctors and claims adjudicators, VA crisis would continue worsening. In early 2000, so this must be around 2005. In early 2005, while working at VA, I briefed political appointees and executives at the VA headquarters about sharply escalating mental health and PTSD disability claims among Iraq and Afghanistan war veterans. I personally advised several VA executives, including Ruth Wichard, Mike McClendon, Jack McCoy, Ronald Ament, Louis Mittenstadt, and several others, that the claim situation was worsening as the two wars deteriorated and the number of eligible veterans continued to grow. I advised them in writing that more claim processors to be hired to meet the steeply rising demand, especially the even faster rise in mental health and PTSD claims. I provided several emails documenting these briefings to your staff in March of 2007. After my briefings, top VA political appointees shamefully broke faith with our veterans. Instead, they're backstabbers. We knew that, didn't we? Hello, Landon Logan. After my briefings, top VA political appointees I'm on page 86 right now, shamefully broke faith with our veterans. Instead of hiring more physicians and claims processors to meet the growing demand, top VA political appointees fought against our war veterans and locked the doors. They had a lockout. They were locked out of their medical. That was Obamacare right there. At one briefing in 2005, a political appointee, since fired for his role in his laptop theft scandal, Mike McClendon. Oh, interesting. Oh, laptop theft. Mike McClendon revealed that the Bush administration was fighting against our war veterans. See, I didn't know any of that was going on at the time. I had no idea. I mean, we had the internet. I thought everything was fine with them. I thought they were getting all the help they needed. If only I could have connected and known about this sooner, but I guess I know now. At one meeting, McClendon said there was too many PTSD claims. The veterans were filing them too soon after returning home. Our veterans were too young to be filing claims, and it cost VA too much money to assist them. Well, you know what I'm hearing that they're filing now? They're all filing for disability. They just as well. I mean, I agree with what they're doing. I keep hearing they join the military and they just claim disability because the thing is, when they go to war, they're going to end up getting hurt anyway. And in some way, be that PTSD or physically hurt, I agree with what they're doing. So the cost of war, I mean, this just simply continues. And it falls on deaf ears with the Congress. It falls on deaf ears with the public-private partner relationship. They always call the civilian, oh, we just admire our private-public partnership. It's like, you guys are full of fucking shit. I don't know whose dick you're sucking on that, because of the fact that it ain't helping anybody. These CEOs don't give a flying fuck about you. They just want the money. That's all they want, is to make money. They use the government. They look for insiders who are willing to go the whole way, and then they pay them off. And so they'll get an insider or someone who is willing to lick their toes. Let's call it that. That's a nicer way. Who's willing to lick their toes and lick their feet and suck a whole lot of things, and then they get paid, and then the others get left behind. So that's the kind of veterans a lot of you have. You might not realize it, but that's the kind that you will come across a lot of those. And it's going to be a very long and lonely life for them, because they can end up getting abandoned. So if the company actually goes out of business or something, or say it changes names, they could actually end up being left behind. So McClendon went further with a factually incorrect and highly offensive statement that if our returning Iraq and Afghanistan war veterans simply believed in God and country, then they would not have come home with PTSD. Oh my God. Oh. If they simply believed in God and country, then they would not have come home with PTSD. What an idiot. He sounds like a fucking idiot. I immediately advised my supervisor about this incident, and I also advised your staff about it in early 2006. After my several briefings to political appointee in 2005, warning them of the current problems, VA launched a systemic effort to block, hinder, restrict, and otherwise prevent our newest generation of combat veterans from receiving the mental health care they need and that they earned. In effect, VA locked the doors to cover their refusal to prepare for the surge in returning Iraq and Afghanistan war veterans with PTSD. VA's 4 anti-PTSD policies adopted in 2005. VA ordered a reevaluation of 72,000 previous approved PTSD claims rated at 100%. Oh! If implemented, VA's policy would have further increased the 600,000 claim backlog by shifting VA claims adjudicators away from working on new claims to work on already approved claims. Luckily, Congress intervened and stopped VA from implementing this outrageous policy. In the 1,000 PTSD claims VA reviewed, VA found 0 cases of fraud. VA instituted a second signature requirement for approving new claims for PTSD at 100%. This VA policy would have also increased the backlog by requiring additional work for each claim by a second VA employee. Luckily, veterans groups raised the alarm that VA suspended this policy. Congress should legislate a termination of this policy. VA contracted with the Institute of Medicine for a stated purpose of validating and diagnosis of PTSD. VA's hidden purpose was to narrow the definition of PTSD so fewer veterans would qualify for VA healthcare or VA disability benefits. Well, that sounds like what the insurance companies will do. I mean, so the VA is actually raising light to the fact that the insurance companies do the same thing. So the VA is mimicking what the civilian sector does. Oh my gosh, sneaky you guys, VA, for making that transparent right there, huh? This might be something that we need to make transparent again right now. So Google has some really good stuff in here in these books. So VA's hidden purpose was to narrow. Now, isn't that funny? You think about this. Legacy media is always talking about transparency, transparency, up until you put the spotlight on legacy media, and then they want self-private corporate governance, and they don't want any transparency, especially with their big money laundering scams. So, VA's hidden purpose was to narrow the definition of PTSD so that fewer veterans would qualify for the VA healthcare or VA disability benefit, thus blocking future claims and saving VA money. So, they wanted to narrow down what PTSD was. I don't know how you can do that because you can't. You can have veterans right now who are joining the military or young kids who are joining the military who have PTSD at the time they join. Now, I would advise them to not tell the government they have PTSD, or that could be a disqualifier. So if PTSD is a disability under the VA, which I believe that it is, I think it is a designation. It would be discrimination for the United States military to not accept someone into the military if they have PTSD. It would be a big time discrimination. That's how I see it. So they would have to accept that person into the military as they are. However, but the private sector insurance companies, they would want to separate that out, or that would be a reason to not hire them based on a medical diagnosis related to what would be called a mental illness. And so, we can safely say that Congress has been talking about this and saying that like millions and millions and millions of people have, it could be diagnosed as a mental illness. It's a mental issue that people are going through at any given time. So the VA's hidden purpose was to narrow the definition of PTSD so that fewer veterans would qualify for VA healthcare or VA disability benefits, thus blocking future claims and saving VA money. Luckily for our veterans, IOM validated the serious nature of PTSD. VA again contracted with IOM for the stated purpose of validating PTSD disability payment amount. VA again contracted with IOM for the stated purpose of validating PTSD disability payment amounts. VA's hidden purpose was to reduce the amount of money paid to veterans suffering from PTSD, thus saving the VA money. Well, that's what the private sector and Wall Street does. So right there, the VA has surfaced what Wall Street does, because that's the kind of thing that Wall Street will do. The insurance companies, they don't want to do a full payout because of inflation. So the insurance companies, at some point, they're actually going to go out of business. And I believe we talked about that earlier in another one of my videos. I'm not sure which one. But as inflation continues on, the insurance companies are going to get put out of business. Fortunately for veterans, IOM responded with a report saying the VA should consider quality of life issues when determining a veteran's level of disability. I've thought that for myself. Nobody is here. What's cooking good looking? Fortunately for veterans, IOM responded with a report saying VA should consider quality of life issues. Why is no one considering quality of life for me? I'm a human being. All civilian people should be asking the same thing. So when it comes to Obamacare, affordable health care, they don't care about housewives. They just want the money. So absolutely nothing in Obamacare considers quality of life for women. Obamacare actually discriminates women as far as I'm concerned. And maybe that's how we need to look at it, that Obamacare discriminates women. I mean, maybe it didn't start out to be that way, but with these private sector insurance companies and their sole motive, anything that has to do with Wall Street and, putting our health system on Wall Street where they want to make a profit from it, it's going to discriminate. It's going to cause inflation, it's going to discriminate. There's just no way around it. So unless the government takes over the programs, such as welfare and housing and medical and insurance, so what I'm hearing from Wall Street when I hear the people say, "Oh, the government can't do anything right," that's got to be Wall Street. So I know I've heard some people in Congress say the same thing, but maybe they're the paid patsy pansies, like who are have some kind of insider deal when they get out of Congress and when they're done, and that's how they become millionaires when they get out of Congress, is because they are patsying around. They're not even doing anything. They're just gerrymandering and stalling the whole process and the whole system for their money purposes, for their TV appearances. And see, that's why, at one point I thought I liked, I believe it was Robert Kennedy, the one that's talking about the food stuff all the time and the red dye. He switched parties. So he's nothing but a follow along lapdog, footlicker. That's all he is because he's following along just with the words and the Harvard stuff. And, I'm kind of tired of the Kennedys. I really am. Them and Richard Nixon, I'm really tired of them. Isn't it time for kind of an updated, newer thing, newer Congress, newer politics? Maybe we have a woman at some point, or women where we have a sustainable Congress that it includes at least half women. I'm not asking for a full, I'm just asking for half. And the same thing would be president. Could we have at least have one woman president? In 250 years of this, what's supposed to be a great nation, we can't even have one woman. I mean, I hope more women recognize this, especially women who are moms. That's who that's who I want to touch base with. I don't want to change their minds about anything. I just kind of want to touch base with them to think about how come we've never had a woman president in 250 years. Those are the questions we need to ask about related to, you know, I, so, um, it's not my intentions to change their mind about anything. It's just my intentions to just ask that question and kind of like plant a seed of an aha moment. Oh my God, there she goes again. She's off her rocker. That old lady's off her rocker. Um, so Okay, so when viewed together, these four anti PTSD policies. Oh, the VA is calling them anti PTSD policies. So apparently, oh my gosh, they're anti PTSD policies. You know why? Because it would be very, very expensive to Obamacare to have PTSD mental health policies inside of. And let me ask this too to the congressman's pushing about food. How does food fix PTSD? How does food fix PTSD? Now, there might be some comfort foods that make people feel good related to their, oh, related to their certain conditions, at any given time. But these four anti-PTSD policies sent a signal to the veterans groups, and Congress that VA would fight against PTSD claims filed by Iraq and Afghanistan war veterans. We will never know how many veterans stopped fighting VA and then needlessly suffered from broken families, lost jobs, alcoholism, drugs, crime, suicide, and homelessness under the guise of saving taxpayers' money. This is what Wall Street does. Oh my God, I love our VA. I love how these guys are doing things. Oh my gosh. Under the guise of saving taxpayer money, VA 23-page claim form of Byzantine claims process served to inappropriately reduce the number of eligible and entitled veterans receiving assistance for mental health care and disability benefits, especially for PTSD. Hello, Jacob Stefan. Jacob. What? Oh my God. If only you were really who I thought you could be. If only. It's like, if only. Um, so, as a result of these and other anti-veteran policies, these are almost, oh, this is such a good word. Oh my God, anti-veteran policies. That's powerful in social media nowadays. Anti-veteran policies from the insurance companies. Oh, that's powerful. And see, I'm just more of a crazy social media trend, looking towards the trends. Now, the veterans, they're going to get on board with anti-veteran policies. That right there, it's a good trending word, anti-veteran policies in the civilian world. Anti, that's really good. I mean, that comes out of Wall Street. That's Wall Street. I hear them every day on YouTube. Wall Street, they'll say they're for veterans, but they're actually anti. When they go against the government, the lefties on MS Dumb and C, they do that all the time. They're anti-government. You're anti-government. You're anti-American. Um, it 10:30. It 10:30. Okay, you're trying to something 30 attend I 10:30. Hello, Alex Ivanhoe Theater. Ivanhoe reminded me of Ivanhoe Theater for some reason. Jacob Stevens. I'm not gonna say anymore. Stefan. But that's the avenue of approach, I think. Hello, Alexandria, Virginia. Hello, Ivan Talk. I know I know that Google has the means to be able to use multiple pseudonyms at the same time. I mean, I've just concluded that you can switch them really, really fast. It's not even a matter of switching the account. It's just a matter of just switching them really, really fast. And so you could be the same person behind like 500 accounts and you just switch them, or you have an automatic switcher in there that's changing them all the time. So you're talking as yourself and you're just being depending on if you use the auto switcher or your actual self. Yeah, I mean, you get it. I mean, I've seen that too many times. I've seen things that make me think that someone could be or is someone I knew. And, but then they have so many others who are actually using the same names too. Then it really kind of has me thinking that, nah, I was just wrong, or I was just wishful thinking on my part. And then I just completely dismiss the thought altogether. My sister subbed to, I told her to. Okay, so Capybara. Okay, your sister's, okay, well, thank you. Tell your sisters thank you for the subscription. And I've noticed that I'm thinking that a lot of police officers might have wives that are not actually their wife. I think a lot of politicians and police officers nowadays have wives that are not their wives. That's what I've been noticing. And I'm wondering if the attorneys are doing the same thing. So I think that attorneys might be creating fake wives and fake husbands, possibly. I'm just not sure. But I know I have read in the government in the past when there's not been, for example, when a president got married, we have had presidents who have actually been single, or their wife passed away while they were president, and so they had a family member, a sister, stand in for the president. Which I think that's kind of interesting, that they would ask a sister, a family member, to stand in with the president in place of the wife so that they would have a representative by their side or someone who is close to them and knows them well. It's just kind of interesting that they did that. And so yeah, that's the thing I always thought about, even, and I know there was a politician. Always thought it was not John McCain. It was that other one, Robert Dole, Bob Dole. I always thought Bob Dole. I thought for some reason it made me think that his wife Elizabeth Dole actually got her start off of him. Oh, you get it now? Yeah, it makes sense, and you get it now. Yeah, it's the same with me too. I mean, these are things I'd never thought about before, but it always had me wondering. It's like, well, we've always had male presidents, and if what if a man wants to be single as president? He sure can. He don't need to have a wife. I mean, because men have been in control of things the whole lifespan of this country. We have not had one woman president at all, and we barely have a female vice president, and she was just met with such hatred that I'm kind of glad that Hillary didn't get elected as president, because this country spewed out such hatred towards Kamala Harris. Well, Hillary got a lot of hate too. I mean, an excessive amount of hate. It's just like the hate comes out of, we don't want a woman doing anything. I mean, so what kind of future is that? So with social media, things aren't going to get put back in the box. And so what does that do for your daughters? What do you guys think that does for your daughters? I don't know if anybody's going to think about that or not, but what do you think that does for your daughters? So on one hand, you might want your daughter out of your house one day. She might be only 2 or 3 years old right now. You're worried about her getting molested by some pervert because of things that you're doing to someone else's daughter. And eventually one day your daughter's going to grow up. You might want her out of the house. Now she can't do anything because you oppressed her. You contributed to oppressing her. Because you hated women that much, you contributed to oppressing your own daughter, the future of your daughter. So that's what, I get it. That's what I'm dealing with too, my own self, things that my grandparents and my parents did. And women buy into it, but women buy into it only because women are oppressed by the system. It's a systemic discrimination out of our own government. I don't see it any other way. Men are going to have to listen to this because I'm not shutting up. I'm just not going to. I mean, you guys can block me off from views or whatever, but I'm just not going to shut up about it. And the truth of the matter is, it really doesn't do much good just to talk to your own family about it all the time, because family gets tired of hearing about it. But it's a dirty secret, though, because most family doesn't want to talk about it. Most family doesn't want to talk about it. So you guys are allowing the oppression to take place, aren't you? Anyway, I think that's it. I'll put some of these links in my video description. And I think that's about it. Maybe we should give Jack a shout out at the end. Should we do that? Eventually, one day, if I ever got a whole bunch of subscribers or just became famous from 600 or 700 or 1,000, let's say 1,000 followers, I got to get up over that 1,000 mark. Then people are like, who is Jack? Who is the Jack she's talking about? That would be... Nobody pays any attention to anything, especially the end. That's one thing I noticed, is that the end of videos, that's when the least amount of people are watching. But the funny part is, I've actually had people say things from what I put at the end of the video, which I found that interesting. It's kind of like, putting out a little teaser at the end of the video and then seeing if anybody's paying attention. So I mean, long form content is fun. Most people like long form content along with short form content. They always went well together. There is an in between as well. So I think that we'll get there one day. It's just that the networks are, they're still a problem. You know, and they're upset. I see the networks. I'm going to say this at the end of this video. Maybe someone will watch it. The networks are very upset, I can tell, because they're always saying things about how things aren't going to work. And so when they say that, then you should know that things probably are going to work because you're doing something that they don't want to adjust to. They don't want to adjust their whole network. They don't want to adjust their whole network. They know they've lost everything. When they can't do things the way YouTube is functioning right now, with the way the internet is functioning right now, it makes it harder for them. They can't contact people. They can't get people's email. So if you don't put your email on your YouTube channel, then the spammers can't contact you. They're the ones who actually want to contact you to find out what you're doing so they can try to replicate it too. But the thing is, they should already know. They know what's going on. They just can't replicate it because of the fact that YouTube is doing things differently and they can't figure out the algorithm. So anyway, we'll talk to you guys later, and we're going to come up with more of this. I totally love the VA and the veterans, what they're doing right now. It's like, I don't love all of them. My ex-husband, I'm not a fan of him. Either of my ex-husbands. One was in the military, one was manufacturing. Oh, the M&Ms. And but I love our government, though. I always have, and I always loved the idea of our country. I just don't like the idea of the way things are going right now with the imbalance of corporations trying to hostily take over our country. And that's what I feel like is happening. I feel like our country has something going on like Great Britain did at the turn of the century back in the 1900s when the Titanic sank. And, a lot of our own politicians are saying that. They feel like we're at that era and conjuncture right now of where things aren't working for us because of inflation. I agree with them. And I hear it from both sides. So, whatever it is that they're doing, I think it probably is working. It's just that they have this split that is going on right now within them for the reason of whatever it is that they're doing with their filibustering and the direction that they're taking related to the corporations, because absolutely, inflation is not going to work for this country. It's a path to nowhere, and it's going to, I don't have to say anymore. I see, the more I read through this stuff, the more I see, I think, I'm not positive, I'm not that arrogant, but I'm not positive that that's exactly what's going on. But I think I'm close, so it's just my opinion, just my analysis. So we'll see you guys later. And if you want, leave a comment or two so you can make yourself visible and make yourself hide. Okay, see you later, Jack.